has bestowed her blessings.
Thank you, Chancellor.
I'd also like to reassure Prince Oliver that we're starting a nationwide hunt for members of the Imperial Liberation Front. An investigation into the backgrounds of its members is also underway, so you needn't worry.
My. Nothing gets past you, does it? Well, I suppose that means you have the security detail for next month's trade conference well in hand?
Of course. I'll see to it that everything is taken care of. Ah, but where are my manners? Please excuse me for not introducing myself.
Chancellor Gileas Osborne.
I'm Gileath Osborne, representative of the Erebonian government. Though I imagine those of you who read the papers may know me better as the Blood and Iron Chancellor.
It's an honor to meet you, Your Excellency.
Your reputation precedes you, Your Excellency.
I've heard much about the recent exploits of Thor's Class 7. Traveling across the Empire for first-hand learning with your field studies, it's quite the fascinating program. I hope you'll keep up the good work.
We shall endeavor to.
Thanks.
I hope we'll live up to your expectations.
Ah, yes. It's been quite some time.
Young Bracer.
Your career path is working out for you.
Thank you, Chancellor. I wouldn't be where I am today if not for you. I really owe you for all you've done for me.
General Van Dyke was my superior back when I was in the Army. As such, I'm planning on granting you a bit of additional assistance. I should have it ready for you in a few weeks' time.
What are you...
I have great expectations for you all. Nurture the bonds you share, and train up bodies and wills of steel. For I have no doubt you'll need them in the turbulent times to come.
Oh.
He's menacing, man. I fear, I mean, with the exchanges he had with Marcus's father, we could also possibly say Marcus's father, something's up with him, too. What's going on now? Reen sensing something with his mark. It's the end of chapter 4.
Drinks are on me! I think you could have done better than that.
Midsummer's Revels. Off to chapter 5 now.
Mid-August. It was the peak of summer, and the sweltering sun was beating down on the residents of Trista. After returning from Heimdall, we were given a whopping 5-day summer vacation before the school year resumed. Turns out, Thor sticks to its military roots, only granting extended vacations to students over the New Year's holiday. However, nobles are allowed to visit home, ostensibly to give them time to become familiar with their family's holdings. And, as you might expect, that meant most students from classes 1 and 2 spent summer away from Trista. Meanwhile, classes 3 through 5 were stuck on campus, envying the nobility as they studied and trained as usual. The other members of Class 7 and I chose to stay in Trista as well, facing the heat with our fellow students.
$8:30. It's so hot. I'm dying here. I'm sick of this heat already. Talking about it is just making me feel even hotter. The Academy should install an orbital air conditioner. At least then it'd be a little easier to cope. An orbital air conditioner? What is that? What's this device that blows out cool air to help regulate a room's temperature? Maybe it'd help if you think of it as the opposite of a stove. Wow, that's some kind of wizardry? That's some kind of wizardry. I've heard of them, but aren't they supposed to be prohibitively expensive? Only the most modern buildings seem to be able to afford them. Do you have one in your house? Well, there's one in the Reinford Company's corporate headquarters, yeah. It'd be nice if my mother could spare one, for the academy she sits on the board of directors for. Seems a bit much to hope for. This is a military academy, so I doubt we can expect to be indulged quite that much. Still, a machine to help us keep cool in the summer. Whoever first invented that should get a medal. I'll admit the summer heat is more difficult to cope with than in Legram. But as long as I think of it as another part of my training, it doesn't bother me all that much. Barahod gets similar summer heat waves, but there's usually a breeze blowing in from the canyon at this time of year. That does make summers a bit easier to manage. My hometown's up in the mountains, so it's pretty cool even around this time of year. Actually, now that you mention it, I would have thought you three would go back home for the summer being nobles and all. You were given permission, weren't you? If everyone else was going home, I would have considered it. But in the end, I decided against it. I mean, it wasn't all that long ago I got to see at least. Maybe next year. I'm here to train. Until I feel like I've made significant progress. I have no intention of returning home. Some of you saw my father's mansion. Do you think I'd go back to a place like that willingly? I'd much rather stay here and take my chances with heat stroke. You're really that uncomfortable at home, huh? Still, hot as it is, there's a lot going on right now. I doubt all the people headed to that conference at the end of the month have much time to be worrying about the heat. You make a good point. You're talking about the West Zamoria Trade Conference, right? That's the one. There's never been an international conference on that scale. At least not in modern times. Mayor Dieter Kreuss, who also happens to be the International Bank of Crossbell's CEO, was the one who first proposed it. I've heard that Prince Albert will be attending on behalf of His Majesty the Emperor. And Chancellor Osborne is supposed to be attending too. Seems crazy to think we met them both just a few weeks ago. The Chancellor in particular was a pretty intimidating figure. Seemed like a big scary monster. He does give you that vibe. I've heard he served in the Imperial Army before becoming a politician. Then 11 years ago, His Majesty entrusted him with the position of Chancellor. Supposedly a full 70% of the Imperial Army is under his jurisdiction. His real fame comes from establishing most of the nation's railway network centered on the capital. Though he's also been responsible for annexing several smaller countries and independent states around Arabonia. I believe those all took place without any bloodshed, though. At least as far as I'm aware. I wouldn't put too much stock in what he's selling. Military spending in this country has increased exponentially since he took up his position as Chancellor. And that's only possible thanks to the tax revenue he gleans from the people of Heimdallr and those annexed nations. Well, he was the one who ordered the construction of those 2 railway guns they've got pointed at Crossbow, too. At one point, Erebonia was on the verge of a full-scale war with Calvard because of those things. Oh yeah, I heard that it was actually Liberal that proposed a way to avoid an armed conflict. They ended up signing the Non-Aggression Pact, right? Yeah, though as I'm sure you've noticed, there's still quite a bit of tension between the 2 countries. I wouldn't be surprised if the issue reared its head again during the trade conference. Chancellor Osborne's been a really popular figure in the capital, though. Popular enough that he seems to have a group of terrorists after him. He does seem to be the Imperial Liberation Front's main target, doesn't he? You know, the hammer of judgment that shall topple the dictator and all that. Indeed, they seem to harbor a deep-seated grudge against him. Their anger seemed a bit unusual in its intensity, didn't it? He does seem like the type who'd make a lot of enemies, especially with a face like that. Well, I'd rather not speak ill of my father's close ally, but... Come to think of it, isn't the instructor awfully late? It's well past time for homerooms to start. True. Should have started about 10 minutes ago, actually. I swear that woman... She'd better not be sleeping off another hangover back at the dorm. Wouldn't put it past her. I wish I could say there's no way our upstanding instructor would do that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Excuse me? I'll have you know I did no such thing.